The podcast that you're about to listen to does not care about your emotions, your hypersensitivity, or your political correctness. If you wish to continue, then
shut up and sit down.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the A5 podcast. I'm Frank, a.k.a. PJ, here with John.
Yo.
And Jonah.
That's not me. I live on the 5th floor.
What the fuck was that?
You guys ever saw that comedy skit?
Nah.
Yeah.
I
With
didn't.
Poppy?
Yeah. Poppy ain't no snitch.
Yeah, Poppy ain't no snitch.
I cannot recall. Nope.
Who was it that did that one, though?
Oh, man.
I'm a
I
bad
don't
guy.
know his name.
Well, somebody's going to have to look that
I'm a
up.
bad guy. Hold on.
Oh,
Hold on.
man. Hold on. Yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to look it up right now. Damn, John Word, you never saw that?
Y'all got to look that up because that shit was hysterical.
Hell yeah.
Until we find it. Jonah, what's up, bro?
Tired, man.
I hear that. It's that grind, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Poppy,
Rashid Thermod?
Okay. I'll just take whatever you just said. And
That's
go with it.
the comedian.
That's a comedian.
Rashid
Thurman.
Thurman.
Is it on
Thurman.
Netflix?
It's on YouTube.
You know who actually did it? Did he? It was on one of his comedy things.
It was on Bad Boys.
I don't watch a lot of shit.
It was on P. Diddy's Bad
It's
Boys
not
of
like-
Comedy.
Yeah, you should watch it.
Okay.
When you
It's
get a
on
chance,
YouTube, bro.
watch it.
It's only like 2 minutes.
All right. Okay,
I mean-
nigga. All right. You guys are fucking aggressive, nigga.
Yo,
I
because
didn't-
that shit is-
I didn't say no.
Nah, because that shit is funny as hell, bro. You
All right,
you
nigga,
you out of all people's.
You still trying to convince me.
Yeah.
I agreed long ago.
He's definitely told you yes already.
Yo.
Yes, nigga. Yes.
Poppy.
One more time for the people in the back.
See. Shit.
Oh man.
Oh man, what's good,
Oh, yeah.
niggas? What up? What we
So
talking
the
about
kids is
today?
alright. The kids is alright.
Juju came to tell me that Jason is trying to eat her lollipop. Not that he is, but he's trying. And even if he were, so the fuck what?
The joys of fatherhood, huh?
Bruh.
With multiple.
Yeah. It's life, man.
So, what's going on, people? We appreciate you tuning in. Today, we want to get into like kind of a concept for you guys.
Well, first, I want to give. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to give context because I was partaking at one point this week, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, figure it out. And a thought popped into my mind. I was talking to my sister at the same time, and I was like, we was talking about politics and like Bernie and Trump, and I'm like, yo, it doesn't matter because one day, like, I believe that all the nations of the world are going to be ruled by corporations, and it's going to be like the Apple country and the Walmart country and the, you know what I'm saying, the Google country, and I think that that's where we're headed down because we clearly at this point in time show more loyalty to corporations that provide us services and goods than we do to our own like nations. Like it's clear, especially America. So that's where this shit came from.
Right. That was the origins of my question. That's true. And I mentioned it to Jonah actually on the way here to record, and he said, "Nah, I can agree with you partially." And really, the question in my mind that came up is essentially what you're talking about is factions on a global scale.
Right.
So when I kind of brought it down a little bit and thought about, like, in this country, whether or not a faction system similar to what was in even the movie Divergent would work for us. Because to a degree, that happens already, right? Just like on a very, very micro level, right?
I think it's more macro than you think it is, but I
The
agree
reason
with
I say
you.
micro is because everyone picks these individual factions to belong to, and then they're just part of multiple, right?
Okay,
You
well,
follow
yeah,
what I'm
all
saying?
right.
Because
So
a
what I-
faction is essentially a
yeah,
group
so
of people.
there are two main groups, and there are subgroups within those two main groups.
Right, and then it even depends on the category you're talking about, so on and so
right.
forth. Like
There's nuance.
I sent you a post from a still that I took on CNN that was one of the Democratic leaders. I forgot who the fuck it was.
yeah, I ha-ha'd it.
Yeah, no, you did. Well, I appreciate that. It was Warren saying that Dems cannot afford to fall into factions, which kind of like increased the thought process. Like, could we benefit from that? For those of you guys who don't know, in the movie Divergent, awesome movie. There's 3 of them. They're worth the watch, if not just for the concepts. The movies themselves actually aren't that bad. There's 5 factions. There's abnegation, which are the selfless, amity, the peaceful, candor, the honest, erudite, the intelligent, and dauntless, the brave. And they basically all have their roles within society based on the faction that they are. Like candor was responsible for the laws. Erudite was responsible for the scientific innovation. Dauntless, who were the brave, were essentially the police force, for example. Would that be easier for us? What do you guys think?
Personally, I don't think it would be easier for us because it's not easier for us now. And what I mean by that is what you were alluding to before is that it's kind of like that now. But when you really break it down to it, there's like kind of 4 categories, but they're split up in 2 groups. There's black and white and everybody else that falls in between those things. And then there's Republican and Democrat, or those ideals or, ideologies. So to think that if we were to officially go to that sort of government system with 5 or more factions, to think that it would be better, the fact that there's bureaus now that control Homeland Security, that there's a branch that controls the laws, and we still can't get it right now, I don't think that splitting up into factions, especially based off of your corporation loyalty, I don't think that's going to really make things better.
Well, the interesting part in the movie was there were 2 other categories that were actively avoided. That was the factionless, those who were given a faction, right, and left because the factions were determined based on testing that the person went through.
Okay.
Right? And if you left that faction, that's it. Like, you didn't belong, basically, to anything, so you were almost outcast from society. And then you had the Divergent, which is the basis of the movie, where they simultaneously belong to all the factions and none of the factions at the same time.
They're just people, normal people. That's what it sounds like.
So to speak, yeah. So those people were essentially killed off.
Dope.
Like that's because they were considered a threat to the societal order.
They were a glitch in the matrix.
Essentially.
That's what that was. I don't think, like I said, I don't think that would be successful. I mean, the fact that you would, because in this scenario that I was talking about corporations specifically, and I don't think that having a corporation govern, they're already governing our laws. You understand, through lobbying and stuff like that. I don't think being actual legislators would be beneficial to anybody because they're businessmen. They're not lawmakers. I don't think they understand the needs of the people. And even if they did understand the needs of the people, they're still business. And so you would run your country as a business, the Apple country, the Google country, the Amazon country. So would we all be indebted to these corporations to work for them? Would they be paying for our food and for our this and our that? Would we have an opportunity to branch out and become our own business? Like, would these things happen? And I don't think that. And on a movie script, it sounds dope, but I think that in practice, it would probably be the end of society.
See, from coming from like the conspiracy theory side, the powers that be won't let that happen.
But the powers that be are the ones that are the companies,
right? But there's only a handful of powers that be. There isn't, 20 different companies or 30.
No, it's like
companies.
3 that control everything. If you look at it, there's the company that owns Boeing. They own like all war shit. It's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? There are companies out there. There's like 3 major companies, and it's not like Walmart and Amazon in them. They're like these weird.
No, well,
Chase
what are
the 3
Chase is
major
one
companies in the world.
Chase is one of them.
Chase is a subsidiary. It's a baby compared to these. J.P. Morgan.
But that's what I mean. That's when I say, because it's J.P. Morgan Chase.
Yeah. But Chase is like a branch off of J.P.
Yeah,
Morgan.
no. But when I say Chase, that's who I meant. Like J.P. Morgan, like that family.
Right.
So according to Forbes, the top 8 companies are ICBC, which is Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the World. That just sounds scary.
The Feds. my nigga, Feds.
JP Morgan Chase, China Construction Bank. That's 2 for China in the top 3.
It's gonna be a lot more than that.
Agricultural Bank of China. That's 3 in the top 4. Bank of America, Apple, Ping and Insurance Group, and Bank of China. That's the top 8, according to Forbes.
So what do they do? What do you do when you're a part of the Chase country, right? The JP Morgan country, and if they start charging you for overdraft fees because whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like your rent is late or whatever the case may be. Now they're obviously going to run their countries like they do their businesses because they're businesses. So you would have the same agreement as an end user, not as a somebody that's even though you're invested in that same country because you're working for them. It's not really in your investment. You can't get out of that. And so
I don't know, man. I don't know if that'll ever work, to be quite honest, because going down the path of the mentality you're saying, right? So these big ass corporate, you have these, say the 7 continents, right? That's what it is, 7 continents, right? So let's say the 7 continents are all corporate continents, right? So we have 7 corporations that are essentially the continents, right? Now, if they don't care about the people, the way corporations don't care about their employees, right? I feel that at some point you'll have no one but them. So it's like, are you gonna work for your own self? Because essentially, if we look at the corporations how they are, how nobody gives a damn about the employee, you give them here's $2, and if you're not happy with it, then go work somewhere else. I'm not giving you any more because it's just more money out of my pocket that I don't want to give you, right? Essentially. So if a country is gonna be ran in that same manner, then eventually the people are going to die off by themselves because they're not going to have enough to feed themselves if these corporations are going to be providing food for them. They're going to provide them with just enough. And now if science is saying, hey, all they need is a hot dog and some water and they'll be good.
But I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it would be these places. The world is big, and there's a lot of corporations in it.
Right.
And so you can break, like Frank was saying, you can break off into factions and have these corporations feed a group of 5,000. That's one faction. That's the McDonald's faction or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It can be done, and the reason why I think it can be done more so than what you were saying is because the more we go through time, the more we become comfortable with technology and shit like that. And so if I have a company. Literally, you paying for my house, you paying for all I got to do is do this, and I don't have no worries. Like I'm gonna put my trust in this company, and you build that by brand loyalty ahead of time. Look at the people that literally fight over PlayStation and Xbox, or Microsoft and Apple, or Red Sox and Yankees. People fight over brands all the time. It's not a stretch to think that over time people will become more loyal to them.
But sometimes it's not even that though. I mean, if you think about it, how far-fetched may it be for one of these companies to take their profits over the last 5 years, right? Find one of these third world countries and pay the debt of these countries.
Easy,
right?
And now
with how much money they make, it's a realistic possibility. So now. It starts off small, right?
Just one tiny ass little country.
One little thing. It's like a game of what is it? Risk?
Yeah.
Where like you just little by little now you got your foothold. You build that country up, whatever, right? However small the population may be, you make it look like a good idea.
Indentured servitude. It's been done. It's been done in history
all of a sudden you spread, right? And then one company does it, so another company gets the idea. You know what? That's we're going to make that our base of operations too. And now all of a sudden it becomes a battle.
Now you've seen this throughout history. The term landlord came from you being there was a lord that
Of
you
the
worked
land.
on. Right, you worked
Yes.
on that land for X amount of time.
Right.
And that was your landlord. You understand? And they gave you something at the end of it. It's the same thing when you talk about if a corporation decides to give you room, board, pay your everything, and you got internet and you got TV, all of this shit, feeding your family, paying for your school or your kids' education. Now you're indentured to them. You understand? And I think it's easy for humans at this stage in humanity for that to happen. It already happened when we were dumber, and we still dumb.
The reason why I don't see the reason why I don't see that shit happening is because of the Fed. The Fed will never allow.
The Feds is down with it.
Because they have to get a piece of the pie.
They'll always get a piece of the pie. If you telling me,
but how do you get a piece of the pie when you the loyal person to this now country, right? If I'm the corporation paying everything for you, I mean, what exactly am I giving you then? Like, what physically
survival again? If you don't have, if
so
you have
how
the,
do you pay,
if you,
so
if
how
you
do you
live in
pay
a
taxes on that?
They not worried about taxes because
The Fed is though, because the Fed is making money. The
Right,
Fed needs to make money.
The Fed will not exist in the scenario. The Fed,
and that is exactly why I feel that will never happen.
You don't think they can be bought off like they are being bought off now?
No.
Why?
Man, what?
They're being bought off now.
The Fed is being bought off.
Lawmaker, when you talk about the Fed, you're talking about the whole thing.
You need to wait. You have to understand that the Fed is its own completely separate entity. The Fed is the one who gives all these countries the money,
and it is regulated by
no one. The Fed isn't regulated by anyone.
But the Fed is is part of the government.
No, it's not.
Even if it's not.
It's not. Look it up.
You talking about the Federal Reserve?
The Federal Reserves, the Feds.
The word is in it though. Federal.
Yes, but they're not governed by anyone.
But I understand that. But what you're saying is you're telling me that there is no amount of money or opportunity out there there has to be a head of the Feds, right? Of the Federal Reserve. There is a head, assuming, right? There's a guy or a girl at the top of that.
Again.
So you're assuming that person can't be bought.
No. Because now, listen to me. I'm going from the conspiracy theory side. It's more than one person. It is a family that owns the Fed, which is why, like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, J.P. Morgan Chase,
they can all be bought.
No, they can't because they own everything.
He's saying they are the buyers.
They are the buyers,
so they can't be bought.
They can't be bought.
That's what he's trying to say.
They're the ones who took the gold and said, give me this,
the gold standard and all that.
And in return, I'm gonna give you this paper. And on top of that paper, you got to give me interest on this paper that
I understand that, but to think that there is no scenario where it could ever be, we don't know the semantics of this. Is all hypothetical anyway, but it could be more profitable for those people to do it that way. You don't know,
and not for nothing, Junior. You're going based on the current system. Like if you plan it out, right? Like I said, it starts small, right? It's like any sickness. It starts with a germ,
right?
And it builds, right? And so, and the body has reactions, and it either defeats it or it doesn't, right?
Right.
So it's not unreasonable to think that you can have a corporation obtain a country, right? And grow over 50 years, 100 years, whatever,
right?
To a point where now they're bigger than this country.
Okay, I get all that. The only reason why I'm saying that it'll never get to the point where a corporation will own these countries so long as the Fed is who they are.
You're talking about in America.
The Fed is only in America, though.
No, the Fed isn't. The Fed is not only America.
No, Fed is
that's
America.
not what we're saying.
The Federal Reserve System
not
for
everybody
America.
deals with the Fed. There are 256 countries in the world. Not everybody gets their
the
money
central
from there.
banks. The central banks,
the national banks,
right? There are
who deal with
what
the
we're
Fed.
saying. There are countries that are poor.
So that's what I'm talking about.
But that's just this country.
No, the central bank that deals with all of the money for all of the countries.
That's the World Bank.
That is who I'm talking about.
Right, but
they
not
won't let
everybody
that happen.
Yes, but not everybody deals with the World Bank. Not every country in the world did. The major countries do, but there are little fucking countries with a population of 100,000 people. They don't deal with that. And so when you go, if I'm Apple I still have my own money.
I get that.
I can invest my own money,
right,
and put people here, and,
right,
and not in a major country in America immediately.
I get
but
that.
But if the idea spreads and you do this country, you do that country, you do
the reason. Listen, the reason why I'm saying that is because look what happened to Muammar Gaddafi.
Okay.
Look what happened to Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was killed, despite about what everybody says. Muammar Gaddafi was killed because he was like, yo, fuck the central banks. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my money for my country and putting it back by gold. We're going to start using gold as currency.
Let's see them do it to Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple. Let's see them kill him. Let's see them kill Bill Gates.
I think you can kill anybody.
Not that you can't, but it's a lot more. You could come up with a reason to go to, what was it? Gaddafi was in Syria or one of them countries.
Yeah, it was one of those.
So it's easier to go in there and say, well, he was there killing his people, even though that might not have been the truth, and still get rid of this leader. It's a little bit more difficult to take Jeff Bezos and his quadrillions of dollars to go to this little country and start investing in hospitals. Start investing in schools. Start investing in their water.
Not true. What's the name of this fucking movie? Oh, it might have not been a movie. It might have been what's the name of this show?
Well, while you figure that out, there are actually 3 major financial institutions. I didn't know this. You have the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, that promotes itself as an organization of 188 countries working to foster global monetary cooperation. Then you have the World Bank, which is then broken down into 5 subsidiary institutions. And then you also have the World Trade Organization, which claims to be the only global international organization dealing with the rules of trade between nations. I didn't know there was 3. I knew about the World Trade Organization.
I knew about the World Bank.
I feel like I've heard about the World Bank. I did not know about the International Monetary Fund.
I've
heard about IMF. I did not know what it was. But
Olivia Pope. You know who Olivia Pope is?
Yes, Scandal. We know.
There it is, Scandal. Let's look at Scandal.
Those are scripts, sir.
But my friend,
now
listen to me, my friend.
The shit in Scandal, I think, could
let
be
me
real.
go down this rabbit hole with me real quick. Mm-hmm. There was an episode of Scandal where they was trying to off somebody. The way that they offed somebody was when this guy went to one of the Secret Services, whatever, went to go hug him. In his hand, he had a little pin.
That was in Blacklist too. I just saw that episode.
With that pin, bink.
I watch all the shows my wife watches.
Got injected. Listen,
matter
of fact, it might have been Blacklist.
You don't like
dramas.
No, you don't like conspiracy shit.
I don't.
Matter of fact, it might have been Blacklist. And I'm confusing it with Scandal.
I think it was.
There are some conspiracies I believe in, though.
But anyway, hugs him, ping, stabs him with a little pin. Nobody knows nothing. The guy goes about his business. A couple days later,
he's sick as fuck and dead. I get it.
Jeff Bezos, right there, boom. My man went to go give the guy a kiss in the cheek, showing love.
Why don't kiss nobody?
Don't
kiss strangers.
Was just like,
listen, don't underestimate the will of the people. And what I mean by that is, if there was, again, people already show extreme brand loyalty.
And stupidity.
Right. Well, that goes hand in hand. Bloods and Crips, Democrats and Republicans, Nike versus Reebok or Adidas, Xbox and PlayStation. You get it everywhere, right? Marvel versus DC.
Right.
Don't think for a second that we, as a people, not individually, but as a people, as a fucking humanity,
right,
that we are not stupid enough to sit there and put pressure on whoever we have to put pressure on to, if let's say that Apple in this country was like, yo, we want to give every person that owns an iPhone or Apple product $5,000.
Oh, y'all ever seen the Kingsmen?
No.
At
point.
Wait, no, but
let him get to this point, man.
Okay.
Because I'm trying.
Right.
I'm riding with him here. I'm trying to get him.
If they was gonna give, there's 300 million Americans.
Right.
If they was gonna give everyone that owned an Apple product $5,000, and the government said no, y'all not doing that, and there's no reason for it, watch who revolts over their country for that $5,000. So if you give people the incentive,
So let me ask you this.
we will revolt against the World Bank or whoever.
So are you voting? Are you going to vote for Andrew Yang?
He dropped out the other day.
He did.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And if Bernie was not there, fuck yes, I was voting for Andrew Yang.
So my point is
because I want that UBI. Goddamn it.
So then that's exactly my point. Why then did he drop out?
Universal basic income, $1,000 a month for
every
American over 18.
Over 18. 18 or older.
Oh, I said over 18.
All right, whatever.
Well, you know what I mean.
To what you were saying, just real quick, in the movie The Kingsmen, something similar to what John is talking about, it happened. In the movie, Samuel L. Jackson's character, forget what his name, he's basically like the owner of this super corporation.
Right.
Like, he gives everybody a free cell phone. Everybody in the world, free cell phone. Boom. Uses this cell phone to send out a signal that triggers the rage response in the brain, right? And essentially, he takes certain people that he wants to save, that he feel can rebuild humanity, locks them away separate, triggers this fucking frequency, and people start going fucking apeshit, killing each other.
Okay.
Right? Why did that happen? Because they all wanted the free thing. It was literally that simple.
And don't think that people don't want the free thing. I'll tell you right now, if Apple was like, "I'll give you $5,000 a month,"
listen. So
there's limits to it, but I'm going to revolt. If the government tell me no, I'm fighting the government.
So my point goes back to Andrew Yang. So then why did he not get as much votes, or why did he have to drop out? Because he's clearly proven that we can give $1,000 a month.
You asking that question in white America? He Asian, he's young, he's unknown name. What you mean?
I want to know how.
That's what.
Wait, how did he plan on doing that?
He proved where we play for missiles and fucking a whole bunch of other dumb shit.
He proved it. One of the methods of giving everybody $1,000 a month, everybody 18 or over in a household, which meaning if you have 5 people in your house that are 18 or older, each one of you guys get $1,000. That's $5,000 a month in this one household.
He needs to be somebody's vice president.
That was by taking away from other government programs.
Well, dude, they just cut Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security.
I'm just asking how he was doing it.
This is how he did it, because he put a dividend on tech companies.
Oh,
so that's how
it was
he
like
did
a 1%, some shit
right,
like that.
It was almost like you are investing into these tech companies.
What was it
UBI,
called?
Universal Basic Income.
So you essentially, because we've invested so much heavily into the tech company and they're pretty much taking over everything, in return, these tech companies got taxed a little more, but that tax money went back to the people.
Right. And what are we going to do with our extra $1,000? If I'm getting $1,000 a month and that new iPhone came out, you'd be like, because it doesn't affect your work checks. It doesn't affect nothing else. You just get it.
All he does, and with that,
it goes right back.
Right. And what he said was, in this plan, all we do is boost the economy, because what are you going to do? You now have more spending money.
$3,000. I'm putting it back.
You have more spending money. You're going to put it right back.
I'm going to go get my car fixed at your shop when I couldn't get it fixed before. I'm going to go get the thing that I'm going to pay for my kids this. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. And it helps everybody.
So my point is, here we are, modern day. I'm giving you a free $1,000. Why isn't anyone revolting?
Because it's not word. You have to understand, Jonah. You're smarter than that to know that why he's not getting the recognition that he's not getting.
I get it. I get that.
But I mean,
there's proof.
I understand that, but the word is not getting out. You need more people to agree. Like in Bernie in 2016, everybody thought he was crazy, and now he's leading the Democrats.
It's not even about agreeing with the idea. It's about believing that it's possible also. Like,
I mean,
I personally don't think that that's something that would be possible. I think it sounds like a great idea, especially
I think it's possible.
He actually
think it's possible, which is why you would have been
I understand how he explained it.
Financially, he actually helped Obama during his reign.
Anybody, but you say, all right.
He gave
understand
Obama
though,
advice.
The moment that you say that though, you're a person would be separating themselves into a category, right? So now you start getting people who didn't agree with Obama, right? Oh, you was with Obama? Nah, I'm not siding with you because of your association with Obama. That's
a different argument. That's a whole different story.
No, but what I'm saying is that plays into people's minds. So then it becomes irrelevant what his message was. That's part of the problem in this country in general. People get so fucking blinded, right? That into one side, into one belief, that they don't really listen to what's going on around them. What you're
saying is that you don't believe that this policy is possible,
I'm not saying that I don't believe it's that it's not possible. I'm saying that you need the mass to believe in its possibility.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Again, it goes back to in 2016, people still call him crazy, but people are calling him crazy less now, Bernie, because he came out with, universal health care and getting rid of everybody's student loans, free college. And everybody in 2016 was calling him crazy. And now in 2020, every Democrat is running on every policy that Bernie was running on in 2016. So what we think is extreme, I guess my point is, once you get momentum, and Bernie gained momentum from 2016 and he carried that into 2020, once you gain that momentum and get more ears, that's when you'll get the change. So answering you, Jonah, when you were saying, well, why haven't people voted for this? It's because he's our age, Andrew Yang. Nobody's going to listen to him. The fact that he got this far in the primaries is amazing to me, and he just dropped out. Like, give him some time. In a couple of years, we're gonna hear a lot more about universal basic income. That's how this works.
I'm not gonna lie. I like his shit. Join the Yang gang.
Yeah, dude. Yo,
this
he's a tech guy. He's a tech
that.
business guy. Like, that's the kind of guy I want to lead the future, because he knows what the world is out here. It's not these old white men that are still thinking that this is the 50s and 60s and set. Like, it's not like that no more. The world is different, and we need to lead us into the future. We need somebody who knows how the world functions now.
But, my whole premise in wondering about the whole factions idea was, I think people need or seek direction a lot, and especially in this country, right? I think that our society is largely a sheep society.
100%.
Most societies, I would say, because there always have to be leaders.
Why can't we?
The problem is that it's blind,
because
though.
It's impossible.
I feel like it's blind here, though. Especially like more now than ever. Like, it's just like, oh, here's this new thing. It's great for you. Oh, okay, thanks.
If everybody's what he's saying, why can't we all be leaders? If everybody's leading, who's following?
Everyone cannot be a leader.
No,
inherently
that's not how.
No,
Earth
I know, I get that. Like, there's you have your set of leaders, and you have your people
some people are made to be
natural followers.
Some people are made to be followers, non-entrepreneurs. No. Worker bee.
I get that, but what I guess what I was trying to say was why does it have to be only one leader? Like, why can't there be multiple?
Because then you're not a leader. You're a co-leader. Like, a leader is one. You are the leader. You are the front. You are the figurehead.
I do think that there can be co-leaders, but I don't think there's enough people who want to be co-leaders. I think there's too many people that would rather follow and live in their bubble, right? So this idea of factions, to me, gives people a set role, right? You know what's expected of you. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not necessarily more. This is your job. This is your role. This is your place in society. And if everyone's on that same page, all right, cool. Like, and I think a lot of people here would want that, and really kind of take to it in that sense, because it's just it's just all right, cool. That's what I got to do.
I understand that. I guess I'm just kind of like,
I think your faith in humanity is too much. I think you think
possibly,
Kumbaya.
but I'm also thinking, huh?
No,
Kumbaya. Yeah, listen, but I also believe, like, I mean, maybe I'm just being too naive in my own, like, bubble, where I really feel like, why does it have to be that way? Like, why can't we just co-lead, have the set of followers?
Your sentiment is correct, but see, I have this conversation with my wife because I believe in optimism. I believe in, like, good things are going to happen. It's not all life is not all bad, but when you see patterns, right? And humanity has been here for a while. We see what we're capable of, and most of the time, we destroy the shit that we build. Like 99% of the time.
See, but I also believe that it's what we were taught. Like, I don't really think that we're taught the 100% truth of our history. Like,
that has nothing to do with it. Your human nature, no matter what culture you come from around the world, no matter what time period you come from, we destroy, we build, and we destroy ourselves. Look at Rome. Right, they went for so long. Egypt, the same thing, and now their money is worth nothing, and we are still a baby country. We are so fucking naive here, and because we are babies, we're a baby. China been around for thousands of years. That country of China has been around for thousands of years. So imagine we've been here for thousands of years. No, we've been here for a couple of hundred years. We're a fucking baby. We're naive because we're on top. Look around you, look throughout history. Human nature is to destroy and corrupt and pervert the good things of life. We're not good.
Right. Take something that you take a lot of interest in, and
I don't
just
know if I agree with all that, but okay.
Look at the vaccines.
Fine.
Right?
Okay.
Right? Something that you adamantly
are against
for the most part.
I mean,
is that fair to say? That you don't necessarily agree with the idea of vaccines.
Is there not one vaccine that you're okay with?
No.
Is there not one vaccine you're okay with? Not one?
No. It's not that I'm against vaccine, because I'm gonna set the
I want to hear his
story
point, though, so let's not
straight
go too far.
here. It's not that I do not believe in vaccines, right? Because vaccines at some point worked. What I'm against is modern day today vaccines, when the big pharmaceutical companies were removed from all liabilities, and also they don't go through the same measures of being what's the word I'm looking for, of being held to a certain standard for their products.
That's away from my point, but I appreciate.
I was just trying to justify.
Right.
I was just trying to justify.
No, you will not go get a vaccine simply because your doctor tells you to.
Right.
That's my right. Many, probably most people in our society will go get
90%.
a vaccine simply because their doctor tells them to.
Apple tells
regardless of whatever. So
Right.
now you take John's point from earlier about corporations taking over these countries, right? You take your iPhone, right? You've tried switching to an Android, correct?
Yes.
And will you ever go back to an Android?
No.
that's the brand loyalty.
So now if Apple...
But I'm not loyal to Apple, though.
But
You don't think so, but you are, because you sign end users agreements all the time and don't even read the fucking contract. You trust these niggas.
Mm-hmm.
No, right. I agree with you. Yes.
I did that shit with
But what I'm
Sony the
saying-
other day on my
Yeah,
PlayStation.
I'm not.
I said yes.
Whatever you. Oh, you want my soul?
I can use
Accept.
I can use
Right.
my face to sign it instead of hitting the button. Fuck yeah, just put
And they selling your shit.
Oh, probably.
I understand. I understand.
See me
what you
walking
guys-
around in
what
my
you guys are
underwear
saying.
one day. I don't care, whatever.
But me,
Uh-huh.
Jonathan, though, yes, I will. I'm saying that I won't go back to Android, right? Because of just my experience at that time with Android and current day with Android, I won't go back to it. However, I'm not. But that's not to say that if Android was to ever get their shit together, that I won't leave Apple.
Right, but you are less of a sheep than like 90% of the people.
Agreed. Agreed.
That's what I'm saying. Again, I go back to to my point of we live in such a sheep society that for majority, if a corporation says, "Hey, if you do this, you'll get this," how many people will do it?
Bro, look at the presidency.
If
brand loyalty.
If you look at
Touche.
if a company goes, "Hey, go on my website, give me your email, I'll send you $50." How
Hey.
many people do you think will be on that?
Oh, I'm hopping. Listen. Listen. Matter of fact, I want to put this out right now. I am a sellout. So any corporation that wants to pay me to do some shit, you want me to put on a biggest fucking monkey in the jungle shirt? You want me to put on a motherfucker? I'll do some shit.
MAGA hat.
I put on a MAGA hat. If you pay me, I will put on a MAGA hat. I don't give a fuck.
So,
I'm for sale.
Nah.
No, I ain't.
Bro.
Nah.
I'm for sale.
All right. So you may have your convictions. I truly believe the majority of society has that mentality.
I wouldn't do
I
it
agree.
for $20. I wouldn't do it for $20.
Everybody's got
Nah.
a price for something.
Right.
You
wouldn't put a MAGA hat on for $5 million?
Listen.
Cash?
Jonah wasn't here for the Valentine's episode. Let me ask you that question. Do you have a price to be paid to not have sex with your wife for a year?
Do I have a price that could be paid to me to not have sex with her for a whole year?
Yes.
No sex, nothing. No physical contact outside of like a hug.
Because I have a price.
Yeah, no orifice, no nothing. Yeah, John's was. I thought John's was low.
It was probably low.
Fabian's was lower. John didn't realize that he gave me his floor, not his ceiling.
Right.
See, I gave I try to give a ceiling number. Then you work down from there.
My ceiling wouldn't have been too high. It wouldn't have been like $100 million.
Let him answer.
For a year.
For a year.
12
No
months,
physical contact.
365. This year it would be
I
366.
mean, I think there is a price.
All right. What's your price? Throw out a number.
I don't know. I
wow.
can't. It's
You see,
hard.
it's hard, right?
I can't
Point
give
is,
you
It's
but
hard.
there
right?
is a
I
number.
said mine was at least 7 figures.
The point is, there is a number, and that's what this whole thing is about.
His was 6. Fabian's was 5.
Yeah, he was wilding.
Yeah,
But
but
he
I
ain't
think. I
married.
think. I
Fabian
think. I
said
think.
$5 though too.
I think.
But Fabian probably not fucking.
I
as much
think
as
I
we
might.
are.
I think. I
we're
think I might
married.
agree with you with the whole 7 figure. I might even go 8.
8.
Nah, you wilding. It's just sex, my nigga. You
Yeah,
can still beat off though.
I don't think anybody would give you.
You can
8.
still beat off. You beat off for a year.
I mean, if you want to start at 8, I just don't think you're gonna.
The
get
whole
that.
point is everybody has a price. So if Apple came to you and was like, "Yo, Jonah, I want to pay you $2 million a year to work for my company and just brand loyalty, just to be a employee," you cannot tell me that everywhere you go and they treat you well, they hooking you up with rent and they taking care of Leo and your wife, all of that, everything is good. Your life is perfect. You cannot tell me that now you are going to go and say that you don't have no loyalty to this company.
What?
You're going to scream from the mountaintops how good this company is.
Well, listen. What I'm saying. To clarify, what I'm saying is, yes, you're right. There are certain things that I could be paid for, but then I also have my morals, and there's just certain things that
there's
I
certain
won't.
shit I won't be paid for.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
like you're gonna kill me for that.
Look, there's a little nugget. I just Googled. In the United States right now,
Okay.
there are more than 100 million iPhone users.
Insane.
In the United States,
There are
right
only
now.
300. That's 1 out of every 3 people.
In the United States, there are 327.2 million people as of 2018. Right?
Okay.
So that's accounting for elderly and children, right?
Right.
Of whom likely either don't have a cell phone or don't care much either way for what they have.
Right.
Right? So that then leads you to believe that majority of the people who have an iPhone are people who give a shit about a lot of stuff.
Correct.
So now if Apple comes across and says, "Hey, if you vote this way, we'll give you this to your 100 million iPhone users."
Who's saying no? I will. If Apple comes out and says, "I will take care of you for the rest of your life," just hit the end user agreement,
Bro, I'll take it less than that. If for most of these people, if they say, "Well, no matter your carrier,"
but we're talking about nations. That's why I said that.
You'll get 6 months of free data. Just vote this way.
The reason why I said, what I said, you have to take care of me, is because now the whole point is I'm pledging my citizenship.
Oh, you're pledging allegiance to Apple now.
Well, yeah,
is
now,
what
but
you're saying.
if Apple came to me right now and was like, "Pledge allegiance to our country, we're going to give you $2 million a year, we're going to take care of your room and board, just work for us. You ain't got to do nothing crazy. Same way you would work for the America. You give America your income tax and shit like that. Nah, just work for us. Just put that effort into us." You think 100 million people saying
You would
no?
do it for 100,000.
Oh no.
My point is, how many nations have a population over 100 million? Not many. We're gonna get our statistician on it.
So I
but there are not many. So if Apple can do that, you don't think probably not 2 million, but you don't think they can give $500,000 to 100 million users for their loyalty? Absolutely, I believe it.
But see, my thing is what are you getting in return? The company, because this is
comfort in knowing that your bills is paid. You don't have to worry about nothing. All people are worried about now are surviving. And if you can, if you promise survival in a comfortable life,
I get that.
That's what you.
I get it, but there's still the monetary side of it. So how does Apple profit? How does Apple make money if they're the ones shelling out in return for your labor?
Easy, because trade deals. What do you mean? How does Apple profit? And not everybody makes the same product.
All right, so look at it.
So you're saying, all right. So you're saying, take Google, Amazon, and Apple.
Mm-hmm.
United States, Apple. Canada, Google.
Mm-hmm.
China is
whatever.
Amazon.
Okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're telling me we're in the United States, so we're all gonna pledge our allegiance to Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Canadians to Google, China to Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me that those three companies are gonna base their money on trade with each other. And that's how they're gonna make these billions and billions of dollars consecutively.
Well, why not? Because if I have a country mass producing these phones,
I
have a country mass producing these phones,
right,
and these Apple products. As Apple, nobody else in the world got Apple products but Apple, right? So I'm going to sell my products, and it's like a barter system. At that point, money is not going to be a thing.
But you're telling me I pledged my allegiance to Apple.
Uh-huh.
Why would I, an Apple living person, care to have anything from Amazon when I've pledged my allegiance to Apple?
My nigga.
Well, because you still need other things. Apple don't make futons.
Here's
you feel me?
So I think you're forgetting countries operate as big business. That's essentially how things operate now, right?
Right.
So, in his viewpoint, that is essentially going to just be narrowed down a hell of a lot more. But it's really no different than how things happen at this time.
Listen, forget Amazon. Google and Apple do the same exact things. They provide the same exact services.
No, they don't.
Other than web search.
They don't provide the same services.
They don't?
They're different services. Their whole Google
outside of phones, they
all dabble in similar.
There's a little overlap, yes, but in the grand scheme,
outside of phones, tablets, TVs, devices.
Right. Google would stop that.
The only difference between Apple and Google outside of devices and like all the devices. Google has a search engine. Apple doesn't.
That's all Google is a search engine. Apple is software.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only difference between them two.
But that's a huge so what you're saying is the only difference between the only difference between Google and Apple is hardware and software. That's all you're saying. Which is the whole company.
No. Because Apple can now create their own search engine.
They just like Microsoft did.
Apple doesn't have their own search engine.
Right, but they could, but they won't. That's the whole point.
Listen, they don't now. Go into your system. Google is Canada. Apple is United States. They have the software and hardware.
But again,
why would they need Google?
They'll find a way to coexist.
But it probably wouldn't be Google. We all know that there are companies out there, farm companies that own like mad farms across the country.
Yes.
That's a country. If that business I provide the food. I provide this. I provide that. So when you're asking why would Apple do that, because there are and not everybody can do everything. We already realized that.
I get that. I'm not discrediting the fact that there's other needs for certain different other companies.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. What I'm saying
Google's a bad example because they're a chameleon company. They don't really do anything specifically.
Right, and that's my point.
But their country.
My point, but that's exactly what I'm getting to is in corporations driven by money, where money is the one be all of everything, right? When you have a Google country and an Apple country, Apple can now say, look, I don't need Google because everything you guys do, I can do. Why would I trade with you? Period.
Because they might provide something else other than whatever Google does. Google can get into the food industry. It's not like they can't. The fact that they have the resources and the ability to do anything is what would make them a country.
But you're failing to realize that what you're telling me that these people can do this and these people can do that. So can everyone else. So what I'm trying to say is at some point the mentality is going to be like this. All right, cool. Apple, you may not need my search engines. I'm gonna go get my Google farm. Apple then says, "All right, I'm gonna get my own farm." At some point, all these corporation countries with big, air quotes, all these corporation companies are gonna say, "Hey, I can do what you do. Why do I need you?" And then it's gonna fall back to what about money? How am I gonna make money?
They're going to operate like countries.
Right,
That's how it operates now.
Either way, whether it's trade deals or actually having monetary money, it works the same way, except for our government will not be It will not be selected by the people. It is the CEOs.
You guys.
There is no difference now.
I'm not saying I agree with him, but I really don't think it's that far of a concept. It starts operating
corporations right now.
Our people.
Corporations right now,
our people,
right? They all, in their mind, they're all saying, "Yo, if they can do this, I can do it better." Hence, why Google even developed an operating system.
Like
countries do the same shit. We are in a race right now, a technological and arms race with China and India and Russia. It's the same thing. Don't think that Apple won't have Apple missiles. They'll just come with Siri.
Essentially, the difference becomes instead of having the three divisions of government, right? You have a board of directors. That's really where the difference becomes.
But what I'm saying is then there's continuing that mentality. Eventually, there will be no need for trade. Period.
There has to be a need for trade.
Right,
not in a corporation standpoint. Not in a corporation mindset.
Bro, corporations trade now. I'll take my industry. The Toyota and Subaru have a car that they made together. I believe Volkswagen. No,
right, but let's understand.
Honda and Saturn. GM.
All you're doing is switching ownership.
Listen, let's understand why that happens. Because monopoly is illegal.
No, they did that for technology because one was better than the other, so they combined their ideas.
Because monopoly is illegal. Because if one of them decided to, you know what, I don't feel like sharing my shit with you, and I'm going to keep it, and later on can monopolize.
So you don't think that could ever be
reversed?
They can't do
that. They didn't have to share.
Do you think monopolies could ever be reversed? You're talking as if these things are finite, and just because they're written on a piece of paper that legislators made that they can't be changed.
Which again proves my point.
But money can change anything.
Listen, which again proves my point, because if monopoly then becomes legal, and now we're in a corporate world where monopoly is a thing, then all these corporations are going to be like, fuck you, I don't need you because I'm better and I can do it better.
You would still need to trade. There are certain resources around the world that you... actual physical materials to make things like all the parts.
So what stops Apple? What stops Apple from going and getting it?
My point
developing it.
My point is all you're talking about is switching ownership.
To develop something, you need to be willing to put the money into that development.
Fine.
So if you don't want to put those resources into that, you're going to seek that information from somebody else. That's why these.
But listen, we're in a dog-eat-dog world, right? You're saying we destroy and rebuild, right? Our mentality is just that. A country of a corporation, why would I go to Google at some point? I'm not saying immediate.
Why do we go to China?
Listen.
Why does the United States go to China for certain things?
Because China has the shit.
Exactly the point. So if the United States is operating as a corporation... essentially is what happens. The countries are run as business.
All you're doing is
talking about
switching ownership.
You're taking what you're good at and utilizing. Correct. And then taking what someone else is good at and buying it.
Right. You're talking about the reason why you should understand this.
A corporation only goes overseas because of tax purposes. They could do everything they want here.
There's a lot of semantics that go into it. The point is, because we're running out of time, the point is, For me, it's as simple as switching ownership. And what would allow the switching of ownership is the population that gravitates to these corporations and fall in love with them. And don't think that the populations will not fall in love with these companies so much that we would turn on our own government and allow the corporations to run the countries. Because everything would work the same. Ownership would change. That's it.
I don't agree with that.
Think about this, because I spent some time Googling this, so I'm going to make sure I say it. The number 10 least populated country in the world as of 2019, I think it was May 2019, if I remember right when I looked this up, was Dominica, with a population of 76,419.
I've been there. It's a nice place.
I actually want to go there.
It's been
right.
Bought some weed off of there.
The debt that Dominica carries is $382 million.
Okay.
Walmart makes that in a year.
Okay.
Bruh.
Like eightfold, I think.
Disney bought Fox for what, $7 billion?
So,
you don't think?
Side note: do you know Fox has a Soul channel now? Fox Soul. Yeah, go look that up.
That's crazy.
So.
Yeah, I digress a little bit, but yeah Fox is trying to appease black people.
As they should. It's Disney, because Disney owns Fox now.
Yeah, well,
so
I'm not here for that.
Speaking to what John was saying, looking at something like that where you have a small country, it's really not, I don't think, that far-fetched that it could happen. Not saying that it will,
right?
That it can.
Apple can go in there and change everybody's lives.
I'm not disagreeing with you guys saying. In essence, I'm agreeing to what you guys are saying. What the only difference that I'm saying is that in this example, let's say Dominica has a huge resource of minerals that could be used in the tech world, right? I'm sticking with Google and Apple.
They do a lot of sugar down there.
I have no idea what they do, but
which is still a valuable thing.
What I'm saying is they have a shit ton of minerals that could be used in the tech world, right? Apple buys them, okay? So now Apple has the resources to do what Google does. I no longer need Google anymore.
Correct.
Google then finds another country with different other resources that Apple doesn't have. They go into trade. Apple now finds another country who buys another country that has the same exact resources. I don't need you anymore, Google. I got my own shit. At some point, it's gonna.
You're looking at it at a one-way resource thing. If Apple were to buy this same country that is however many thousand, same kids, I've been to all those places. Now you got a seat at the UN or whatever conference. It's more than just the resources that you provide. It's now you have a seat here.
You have it's the influence that comes along with it.
Right. So even if it's a small country, now you're being looked at as more than just a tech giant. You are a entity. People move there to Apple country. People move there and they live there.
You're no longer buying an Apple. You're moving to Apple.
So if one corporation does it, because like you said, it's a dog eat dog world, and this is all about business. If one corporation were to ever buy a small ass country, don't think that the next company is going to not be look to his neighbor and be like, what the fuck they got going on over here?
I wonder.
And all it takes is one person with the idea. We are closer to that than you think.
Listen, I get it. And maybe I'm explaining, my explanation is from a far, far future than where you guys are at. Because what I'm saying is, in a world that is ran that way, fuck government, now countries are corporations. At some point, there's not going to be a need for trade when these countries are going to go pick out what they need.
They don't work that. It will work the same way.
I don't think so.
You're also taking the mindset that the corporation-owned companies are within the same field. keep that in mind.
Right.
So
Samsung not doing business with Apple.
You can have Apple. You can have McDonald's. You can have Ford. Like there's so many.
Right.
Remember, how many companies
But
there are.
McDonald's might
So
do a deal with Samsung. Hey, all of our registers, all of our electronic signs, we need this. And McDonald's is not making that.
It's
Sure,
not
they
all,
could.
It's not all
but
one
it's not
field.
cost effective.
So how
taking
does the
over.
country make money?
Again,
The same way it does now,
you're
bro.
just switching ownership. That's it.
No-
You're going
nothing
from
else
one owner
changes.
to another. As if I am selling you my car. I have a car now. I sign the title over and say it is now your car.
You still got a GDP. You
It
still
work-
have everything.
You still
except
got to put gas in it. You still got to maintain the car.
you're making
Who's setting the regulation is what
so,
changes.
So me, I'm making money off of our trade, not the people. I'm paying the people of my country to survive. You work for me. You're
They
loyal
still
to
got
me.
to work. Whatever job, the same jobs will be there. It's
Right,
the
but I'm
same-
not paying them because I'm supplying them their lifestyle.
No,
That's what John was saying.
He-
I'm gonna supply you the lifestyle.
he's
Your
providing
lifestyle.
it as he's saying that would be an easy way to make that transition happen. If a company was to come in and offer that people would hop on the bandwagon to support that country and that company and that transition.
Right. So at some point, are we not gonna? Is the country not gonna support the lifestyle anymore?
What do you mean? They would still make money because they would still you would still have to trade and do things with other countries around the world. The point is, no, if you don't have to pay me, if you don't have to pay me a wage, if that's what you asking, where's the money coming from? There is no money. There's just a barter system. Like that's how it will, in my mind. That's how it
He's
will
simply
work.
talking about a hypothetical system where instead of it being the country that's with the laws now, that a corporate entity comes in and takes control of the country, not in a back end lobbying kind of way, in a very direct. The
There's a flag and a
corporation
national
managing
anthem.
the country.
I understand what you're saying, John.
Mm-hmm.
Barter system, fine. I'll agree with everything you're saying. A monetary system, a capitalist system, that'll never work.
Why?
But not every. But the thing is, you
barter
assume
system, yeah, but a
you
capitalist
assume
system
that
doesn't
everybody
work.
wants.
How?
You assume that everybody wants
Because there's no
capitalism.
money involved.
You assume
Everything stays the same, Jonah.
It won't
Everything's-
work.
ev-
It won't work.
I don't understand. I don't.
What is
I
it?
really
What would
don't
be the
get how you
difference?
can
It
say
won't.
this
It
will
won't work because now all these countries all have $1 billion. That's how that's all the money they have.
But not all of the companies are made equally. So again, a
Fine.
small.
So fine. Walmart $5 billion, Apple $6 billion, Amazon $7 billion, Google $8 billion. Everybody has one more billion than the other, right? I'm gonna pay my country, the people in my country. I'm gonna pay. I'm not giving them no money whatsoever. I'm just gonna support their lifestyle, right? That is what you said, right?
Right.
Okay. All the countries follow that same method, right? How do I make money off of you? How do I make money by how do I sell something to you? Because now if I sell up my
Because
hold on,
at
hold
that-
on. Wait,
You don't need
wait,
to, at that
wait,
point. You're
listen.
talking about a system that would not exist anymore.
So
it
this
would
is
not
what
be
I'm- this is-
necessary to
This is
capitalize
what-
to do
is-
capitalism.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say.
And
A capitalistic system will not work. A barter system, I would
People
agree
want money
with.
because of control.
Listen.
So if you can garner control without having to do the money thing, if I can control a whole people without,
No, I'm away from the people. What I'm saying is, how does the country, from a corporate mindset, how do I make money?
by still selling the same products that the current country is in. It's not about the product; it's about the control. The company is coming in to control the country. So instead of having the president, Congress, and all these branches of government that we currently have, the corporation is the one that's doing that. That's where the change happens.
But you're not understanding what I'm saying. If you Google me, Apple, John is McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
You have $1 billion more than me. I have $1 billion more than you.
But that's not the case.
Hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Hypothetical. Just to make it simpler for us.
But
to
there's
understand,
big gaps, though.
But just to make it simple for you, for us to understand, and the listeners, right? John has $1 billion more than me. I have $2 billion more than Frank. Right? I, Apple, sell phones to Frank. Frank buys those phones for $1 billion. So now we're even, right? Because I have $2 billion more than Frank. Listen, wait.
Frank doesn't buy them from you. Frank gives you equal value in whatever service he's in.
If it's a barter system.
That's your barter system. I'm
system.
going down Frank's capitalistic system. I sell Frank $1 billion worth of phones. Mm-hmm. So now Frank and I are equal, right? Because my $2 billion minus the 1, I give it to him. He has now. We both have the same amount of $1 billion, right?
Okay, I'm following.
Are you following me, Frank?
Yeah.
I have 2 more than you. I sell it to you, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Frank now, being Google, he decided to start creating glass, the screens. Mm-hmm. He sells me glass to make my phones. Mm-hmm. All we did for the same amount, the $1 billion. He did was give me my $1 billion back. Now I'm 2 up over him. Back to square one.
But the thing is, there's another country out there that also makes glass. It's not. There's a Burger King country and a McDonald's country.
Linear, bro.
There's a Walmart and a Target. There's an Apple and a Samsung. There's a PlayStation and an Xbox.
How is your scenario any different than what happens now in a capitalistic world?
Right. Because eventually one of them gets bought out and dies. So at some point,
what happens in this world?
Right, at one point there will be one corporation to rule them all. Yes, that's the point. There will be one at the end of it all, since everybody buys everybody up. Eventually, whether you look at it through monetary or you look at it through conquering through violence, everybody looks for global domination throughout the world. We just got it.
There would literally be no if it was on a corporate side, if it was a corporate controlled entity or a government controlled entity like it is now. There's no change.
Just the name on the title.
Because I'm still going to deal with him. I'm going to deal with you. And instead of bartering, right. I'm paying you.
Right. The change comes with
That's how the whole monetary system and bartering left to begin with. Because what he values my iPhones at, you don't necessarily value my iPhones at. The same way you take, again, I'll use my industry. Cars here are sold for a certain amount is why they're sold for a different amount in another country because they value it differently. Acura exists here and it doesn't exist in Japan.
Even in another state, if cars are cheaper up here than they are down south. So it's a lot of it has to do with,
I don't know. So at some point,
a lot of it has to do with again. It comes back down to the people.
You're seeing it different as a corporation, and I don't understand why.
The change comes
because I feel like at initial you're right, but it's gonna get to a point where it's just not going to work.
I don't think so.
At a far distant future, it just isn't going to work. At some point, it's going to be like,
but you can say that about any sort of government or society ever because they've all fallen.
You're saying that
none
of
them are
going to
now
work then, because nothing. Again, there's nothing different, and you're also going with. I think in your mind that iPhone is still only going to be. Apple is only going to be iPhones and fucking Macs and shit like that. If they take over a country, everything that country has becomes their property. So let's say Apple takes over the United States. Guess what? They're involved in oil. They're involved in everything that America
you have
right
to
now
run a country.
Right. And this is what I'm saying, that at some point, if that's the case, at some point, they're not going to need anyone else.
It's not. Yes, they will. Listen
that's
to
the
me.
case, then the United States doesn't need anyone now.
Everything stays the same.
We don't.
Jonah.
All right,
listen.
so then you're right.
Everything stays the same in this scenario.
We can grow our own shit in California, Florida, and
everything
Texas.
stays the same in this scenario that we're talking about.
Oh, we're missing cocaine.
Except for Apple makes the rules now.
That's the difference.
It's instead of our 3 branches of government.
That is the only difference.
That is the difference here. It is they call the shots. They make the laws. They come up with.
There's
our
no
anthem.
more elections.
They make our flag, and because they're treating us so well, we're going to suck it up because they're doing so well for us. They're doing this, that's where it's not the change in who's running it is really the change. It's the change in the people. In the society, that's what would change. We would take our loyalties from I pledge allegiance to the flag and turn it into I pledge allegiance to iOS whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that's what there would be no difference because like Frank was saying, they're still run like that now. It's just we have
Who's the
branches of
controller?
government that have control, but instead of having those 3 branches of government, those branches can be bought. Everybody has a price, and it's possible for one corporation with enough power and influence and enough backing by the people, just like the people got Trump in there. They pushed a brand, the Trump brand, in office. There's nothing stopping us from pushing the rock.
I also feel that
we're going long, bro.
Yeah, I know, but maybe
reflections.
Maybe we'll just have to chop this up into 2 episodes.
Whatever, man.
But I also feel like we're looking at this from, into what you're saying, a linear kind of way, because in other countries corporations don't rule like they do here.
But we are the standard bearers. We push our system of life to everybody with democracy.
And some of these other countries, companies don't lead because those countries aren't worth anything and they're not utilizing that company.
Europe doesn't. Their corporations don't really own Europe like that,
bro.
I doubt that,
bro.
You know what? China probably owns it.
I mean, based on what we saw earlier,
but
China owns like 6 of the top 8 companies.
But the crux of the argument is there is a corporation or a few corporations that still own it, just like they do here.
Get into a whole bunch of other stuff,
bruh.
We sorry, we got into this a little heavy. Probably,
it's fine.
I enjoyed it.
They liked it too.
Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna end it here. Give us can corporations own these countries? Catch us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at Alpha 5 Podcast. Don't be afraid to leave your comments, questions, whatever. Catch our reflections actually on Instagram, where we kind of go into a little bit of the stuff that we didn't really get a chance to either mention or thought about again. If there's a specific topic you'd like to listen to, again, drop a dime. I'm Frank, a.k.a. PJ, here with John.
Yo.
And Jonah.
Later.
Remember, we are all alphas at something. Peace.